Here's one of the best books on the family secret trial written by Jeff Cohen. He was in court every single day. I actually had a chance to meet him and get to know him. Can you guys name every man in this photo? Please enter in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe. This next video is going to be about one of Frank Calabrese's good friends, James Stolfi, who was a witness for the government. He's from Connie's Pizza, who was extorted by the Chinatown crew. Now, the beginning of the prosecution talked about the killing of Larry Stubich. This was Frank Calabrese's best friend at the time. He died at the young age of 29 years old. He was killed at the Cabaret Go-Go on West Higgins by an ex-cop, a Chicago associate, Dickie DeSante. Frank Calabrese was pissed off, devastated. He went to Angelo to have him killed. Angelo would not allow it. Frank said he never got over this. Now, the owner of Connie Pizza testified that he hired Frank Calabrese to work as a spotter to keep a closer eye on the many, many food delivery trucks that ate out there. Frank Calabrese reported back to him that some of these guys were driving around drinking, smoking weed, getting blowjobs, sleeping on the job. He put them on the payroll to cover the extortion payments. Now, one of the very first witnesses for the prosecution was this guy. Here's a younger photo of James Stolfi. He's the co-owner of Connie's Pizza, a staple in Chicago, very successful business in the Chinatown neighborhood, right off Archer and 26th. He testified that he first met Frank Calabrese at the Italian American Social Club and that they basically became very good friends over the years. Imagine seeing a guy like this, Frank Calabrese Sr., a heavyweight, on the stand. His story was James Stolfi came to him as a friend. He needed help. He was scared to death. A couple guys came to see him at the restaurant. They wanted $300,000 or they were going to hurt him. He said he had to go to Angelo LaPetria, who got it knocked down to $100,000. Frank loaned him $100,000, and he had to put him back on the payroll in order to pay him back. Now, Jim Stolfi picked Nicky out of a photo and testified that he was one of the men that came into the restaurant trying to extort money from them, demanding payment. They also showed the prison video recordings when Nicky would visit Frank Calabrese, his alleged godfather. They would talk about their multi-million-dollar bookmaking operation. Frank Calabrese would tell him, keep your voice low, talking about that kind of money. Frank also said, you can kill your brother according to the Bible. Nicky said, wow. Now, during the family secrets trial, there was a lot of guys I never even heard of. For example, this guy on the right, Captain D. He ran the club when Angelo LaPetria went to prison. He was an associate of the Chinatown crew, very well known in the Bridgeport neighborhood, close friends with the Carusos, the Rodi family, the Calabreses. He testified that he was the middleman between James Stolfi, his payments, and Frank Calabrese. Captain D testified that after Angelo the Bull died, that he took over the day-to-day operations of the club. He also said that this is where he introduced Frank Calabrese Sr. to James Stolfi. Back in the Bulls' day, they had 5,000 members at this club. Every member was paying $50 to $500 a month in dues. I remember I went here with my friend after the family secrets trial. We seen Captain D, and he let us walk around for a little while and check the place out. Mr. Stolfi was a nervous wreck on the stand, sitting 10 feet away from his best friend, Frank Calabrese. Frank would return it by smiling, laughing out loud, actually enjoying it at times. Mr. Stolfi testified that he gave Frank Calabrese monthly payments for protection totaling up to $300,000. He had no idea that Frank Calabrese Sr. was behind the extortion scam. Here's U.S. Attorney John Scully, one of the three prosecutors at the family secrets trial, along with Marcus Funk and the late Mitch Mars. I actually got a chance to meet this fine gentleman and talk to him a few times. I'll never forget when he cross-examined Frank Calabrese Sr. on the stand. He got Frank to lose his temper. He would ask Frank, well, if you were such a good friends with Mr. Stolfi, why were you extorting hundreds of thousands of dollars? Frank would yell, you're out of your mind. I love that man. The shark, this guy would get dropped off in front of the courthouse every morning by his wife. On the plate it said Mrs. Shark. He'd wear pink socks, matching pink handkerchiefs, Gucci sunglasses, Armani suits, kind of like the Chicago version of Johnny Cochran, right? He got James Stoffey to admit on the stand that him and Frank were best of friends. They families spent time together. They went on a lot of vacations, and that Frank never ever threatened him. Now, to show the close relationship Frank Calabrese had with James Stoffey, co-owner of Connie's Pizza, they must have showed 10 to 15 photos on the big flat screen monitors in the courtroom of all their vacation spots that they went to, showing Frank Calabrese and his family, James Stoffey and his family down in Florida, out in Hawaii, California, Costa Rica, Jamaica, really living it up together. Now, James Stoffey also testified that him and Frank Calabrese Sr. several times a year would drive up to Lake Geneva and hang out at Frank Sr.'s home, not too far from the famous Abbey Springs Resort, if any of you guys know where that's at. And then also during the trial, Junior Calabrese and Nick testified that a lot of the Chicago outfit guys had homes in the Lake Geneva area. Now we'll end it with this. During the Family Secrets trial, when the Chinatown crew killed somebody, they would lure the guy to a spot, surprise him, beat him, kill him, strangle him. Frank Calabrese would slit his throat from ear to ear, give him the Calabrese necktie. At the end of court each day, Frank Calabrese would take Joe Lopez's laptop power cord and wrap it around his big hands. And I couldn't help but think these are the hands that killed all these victims.